For whatever reason, the Ferrari F430 range is just one of those models that I never fully got behind. And I don't know why, because my car literally shares its engine, so you'd think I'd like it more, but for whatever reason, the F430 just never really had me fully on board. The 360 kinda did though, especially the Challenge Stradale, which is of course a unicorn in its own right, and interestingly, this particular car is, you could strongly argue, the spiritual successor to the Challenge Stradale, in the similar way to how the F430 is to the 360, very literally so. Now the engine in this car is of course even more powerful than the normal F430, which isn't exactly a slow car to begin with, but the crucial difference between the Scuderia and the regular 430 is the weight. This is not just some facelifted special edition with a couple of stickers and stripes. This is a genuinely reimagined, evolved version of what the F430 could be. And yes, it does have 503 horsepower, which is more than the standard one. But that crucial difference, as I said, is the 100 kilos or 220 pounds of weight which they gutted out of the car. That's the kind of difference which you could borderline expect from a legit competition spec vehicle, like an actual cup car or a GT4 style machine, and yet this is a street legal production car. And the results of that is that not only is it of course quicker around a track and the top speed is higher, close to 200 miles an hour, but again the acceleration is where you see the biggest difference, because this can legitimately out-accelerate a Mercedes SLR McLaren from 0 to 60. That's kind of a big deal, considering that it has a full 120 horsepower less than that car, and of course a lot of that is to do with how much lighter it is, and also the even faster transmission which this car has compared to the normal F430. Now in the game, one of the things that I respect the most actually about the Scuderia is that unlike some of the other hardcore exotics of the time, it can actually still hold its own even to this day against more modern rivals. And to me that is one of the interesting things about a car which will become, you could say, like an instant classic or an instant unicorn car, as the Challenge Stradale was before it, because when certain cars are released, it's almost like you can just feel that they are in effect ahead of their time. It's a car which will become a trend in the future. The McLaren F1 is always a perfect example, but I would say that the Scuderia is as well, because even though I still don't love it, I can certainly understand why it is such a high-ranking Ferrari for so many fans, and even a fan favourite, because the Scuderia really does have a legendary reputation, and it's one of the very few modern exotics that is, you could argue, not necessarily a full-on supercar. I would call it more of a super sports car, because it can't even do 200 miles an hour, for instance, and yet it does have this unicorn status. It's phenomenally quick. It manages to out-hardcore the already hardcore Porsche 911 GT3, and of course, its arch-nemesis, the Lamborghini Gallardo Superleggera. It came out at a very, very highly competitive time, and yet it still holds its own. But the reason why it gets even better than that is because being a Ferrari, I think that one of the strongest strengths the Ferrari has is that they manage to combine genuinely brilliant and brutal track ability, which comes of course from their racing prowess and decades of experience, with fantastic road feel and actually getting that fun factor which not all high-end exotics can have. Some of them might be too challenging to drive, or maybe on the other end of the extreme, too safe, like a Nissan GTR. This to me strikes the fine balance between the two. It is hardcore, it is faster, it is lighter and more focused, but it doesn't feel unattainable. It's almost like a street-legal race car. Overall then, it's definitely worth a second look in Drive Club, one of the best later 2000s exotics I would say, and that's it for this review, but until next time I'll see you then, and for now, as always, thanks for watching.